Bloomberg Essentials. In this Bloomberg Essentials course, we're going to give you the tools and training you need for career paths in sales and trading, asset management, equity research, and investment banking. All of these career paths require extensive use of the Bloomberg Terminal for gathering data and information, preparing analysis, and making decisions. Here's some examples of the kind of things we're going to do on the Bloomberg Terminal with you. We're going to grab company information about a stock. We're going to look at how to get the beta for a company, a measure of its volatility relative to an index. We're going to look at how to compare something to a benchmark or an index. We're going to look at analyst ratings, pulling information such as target price, recommendation, and so on from equity research analysts that cover stocks. These are just a few of the things we're going to go through and much, much more. So without further ado, let's log into the Bloomberg Terminal and get going. Let's look at an economics screen. We'll type in the shortcut ECO, which brings up economic calendars. When this screen appears, you'll see that we're looking for the United States at upcoming economic data that's going to be released. The white events are today's date. And then you have future events where data is going to be released. So you can click through to see information on any of these numbers. And you'll see in a graphical format the history of these economic releases over time. If you want to go back to the list, you simply press the back arrow and you can continue to browse the list of upcoming economic indicators and economic releases. This is a very good tool for staying on top of economic data as it's being released in real time. You can filter the data here to see certain types of economic releases, who they're released by, the type of release. You can also filter the dates. You can expand this beyond the default date to see further into the future. And you can even set up alerts if you want to be notified about economic activity as it's released. So there's a lot of economic data that you can get using the ECO economic calendar function. Now let's look at economic statistics using the shortcut ECST. That opens up World Economic Statistics. You'll see this screen here. We can select the country. Let's select United States. And then we can browse through these indicators. Let's look at whole economic activity for an example. Then let's look at business starts. Here we can see venture capital deal volume, and we may want to click into one of these to see a chart. Let's look at a chart of venture capital deal volume over time. So here we can get a sense, this may be an indicator that we want to track as to understanding how much venture capital deal activity is taking place. This is the volume of venture capital deals over time, and that may be something we want to track. And of course, you can go through and browse all of these various economic statistics. You can sort them by country, by category, by time period. There is an enormous amount of data that you can extract from the ECST economic statistics function. Well, let's just pick another example here. Let's go into the labor market and let's look at initial jobless claims. Here you go. You can see initial unemployment claims. We can click the chart. We're actually comparing here on this chart in green the initial unemployment claims over time, and in light blue the venture capital deal volume over time. So if we wanted to unselect one of these, let's say we just want to look at initial unemployment on its own, we could edit it as so, and you can add other series to these charts as well, so you can compare all sorts of economic statistics. Let's return and go back. Let's add one more to this, just to show how we build that chart again. This time, let's look at manufacturing. Let's add this to the chart. Now we can look at manufacturing and trade inventories. Let's add yet another one. Let's add under housing and real estate, home sales, existing home sales, and we can add this to the chart. So now we've got 3 series of economic data. We click Edit Series, and if we want to turn any of these on or off, we can easily do that. There we go, we got rid of manufacturing. Now you simply have initial unemployment claims and existing home sales over time. So there's a lot that you can do with this economic statistics function, ECST. Now let's take a look at economic forecasts. The shortcut is ECFC. That brings up economic forecasts. And here we can look by country or region at both private or official, meaning public, indicators. We can see them sorted by economic activity, for example, and scrolling down, housing market, labor market, and so on, exchange rates, etc., which can be very useful for all types of financial analysis. So we can see here not only the historical real GDP year-over-year growth, but also the forecasts for 2020, 2021, and 2022. If we click into that, we can then see some more detail. So we can actually see here by bank or contributor, and as of a certain date, what their economic GDP forecast is. So what you can see here when you look through the detail is that those that are updating their forecasts more recently have a more negative or bearish outlook than those, if we scroll down, that have older forecasts. So you can see how in real time forecasts are being updated to incorporate the most recent economic estimates from contributors, which are typically banks around the world. Now we can change this to quarterly. And now we can see some more detail. Within 2020, we can see by quarter. So look at this. In Q2, Bank of America Merrill Lynch sees negative 12% GDP change for the United States. Deutsche Bank also sees negative 12%. And you can see that this is in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, when GDP is grinding to a halt as social distancing takes effect. But you can see that these banks do expect a recovery or a resumption of more normal economic growth in later quarters. So being able to dive into this detail is extremely helpful when trying to produce an economic forecast and for performing all types of financial analysis.